Hello and welcome to Accelerate. I am Matt Stone. This is the podcast where we encourage and inspire CEOs, founders, and visionaries on their big leap journeys. We talk about the stories and strategies that will help you accelerate toward your big leap destination with purpose, humility, an open mind, commitment to growth, and recognition that the way we get there is at least as important as where we end up. And I'm so delighted that you've tuned in today. And it is Tuesday, September the 20th, year of our Lord 2022. And thank you again for listening to the podcast. You know, yesterday was Monday, and I was thinking through the week, like, what happened this weekend? Of course, I completely blew the most interesting thing, which was that last week I met a Broadway producer. I guess they do Moulin Rouge and some other shows, but they're also producing an off-Broadway reintroduction of it had been on Broadway before, but it's coming back. They're doing a new version of it, I guess, called Stranger Sings, which is a parody musical based on Stranger Things on Netflix, which I knew about. I knew it existed, but never had watched it. So he says, I meet him at an office, a co-working place I like to go to. And we had a blast. He was so funny, and we were laughing really hard. And he says, "Hey, you want to go to this show? We're running like pre-premiere shows, some kind of exclusive thing." And so anyway, we got free tickets to go on Sunday night, and so my wife and I went. But I had to watch the first season of Stranger Things before we could go in order to enjoy it, and so did a little binging. Thankfully, it was only 8 episodes. I mean, it could have been much worse. And it's campy. It's early 80s, set in 1983, so very nostalgic, blah, blah, blah. But the show was just hilarious. I mean, it was so good. The talent was great. The venue was tiny, so you're in there, you're sitting literally right. The actors practically touch you. I mean, it's so close. And what a joy. I mean, I have to say it's one of the great things about living here. Is just all of the things going on constantly, and art and theater and all of that. It's really, really fantastic. So if you have a chance to see Stranger Sings, and if you know about Stranger Things, I think you'll probably enjoy it. At least we certainly did. But the other topic that's on my mind today, I talked about an article, and I don't remember. I mean, we're already at we're pushing 70 episodes here of an all-time of the podcast. By the way, we crossed 2,000 downloads over the weekend. I think maybe it was even Friday when we technically crossed it. But over 2,000 all-time downloads of the podcast, so I'm really grateful for that. But in one of the podcasts a couple of dozen ago, I talked about an article that said, hey, when in doubt, go for it. When in doubt, jump. Choose change. You'll be happier and more successful rather than status quo. It talked about a status quo bias. And so I'm not going to talk about that article again, but I was thinking about regret vis-a-vis that topic. And when I was in the third grade, I was living in Germany on a military base. And there was this girl named Audra Henderson. And she was, in my mind, at 7 or 8 years old, I guess 8 years old, the most beautiful girl on the planet. I just thought she had beautiful hair and perfect face and whatever. I was totally crushing on her. And so, but, I was afraid. I mean, I'd carry her books for her. I did the whole nice guy thing. Doesn't work, guys. Does not work. I learned that at 8. So anyway, we go on a class trip, all of us, we were living in Germany. So they took us, in yellow school buses from the base, and we go out to this restaurant that specializes in kind of a medieval theme. It's not like medieval times. There's no horses or whatever, but it's like you're down in this dungeon and they serve you whole turkey legs, and you've got this big knife that you can use to cut it, like a rustic looking old school knife, vintage knife from the set piece kind of thing. And but the deal was they had a rule that you had to leave a little food on your plate for the peasants, for those that were poor. And if you didn't leave any food on your plate, they would punish you. And the punishment was that they would put you in stocks. And so the thing is that people kind of purposefully did this, right? So that they'd be put in the stocks. But the catch was, when they put you in the stocks, your head and your hands are put in this, wooden contraption, right? That they sort of lock. I mean, it's all kind of fake. But anyway, when you're 8, it's not fake, right? So the deal is that in order to be let out of the stock, you had to be kissed. I think it was like 5 times, Someone comes and kisses you on the cheek or something 5 times, and then they would unlock the thing, and you're freed. Well, let's go back to Audra. So of all the people that would end up in the stocks, guess who ended up in the stocks? Right? Audra Henderson, the glorious princess, the maiden, I should say. So the fair maiden gets in the stocks, and of course, everybody knows that I adore her. I mean, the secret's out, and so I'm getting pressured big time to go deliver the freeing kiss or kisses that'll get her out. And there was a moment when I could have done it. I could have run up there and freed her with kisses. But I was so full of shame, and I just couldn't. It was so embarrassing to me. I was so bound up is the feeling. I wouldn't have recognized it as shame then, of course, but it was part of it. Now I can see it now, but I just couldn't do it. And there's another boy in the class named Troy, and Troy had beautiful blonde hair, and he was so cute and, dashing. He looked like a young, right out of a fairy tale. This is what my memory, my memory is that he was very good looking, right? I don't know if he was, but that was the narrative. So of course, Troy gallantly gallops up there and kisses her all 5 times and frees her. And as if that wasn't bad enough, we finished the dinner, and I'm sitting there embarrassed, and people have been pressuring me, and I didn't do it. So I feel embarrassed about not doing it because people wanted me to, and that I should have taken this opportunity, and blah, blah, blah. We get on the bus, and guess who's cuddling in the back of the bus all the way back to school? That's right. The young gallant Troy and his prize, Audra. So I have never forgotten that. I mean, obviously it doesn't sting at all today, but I don't have much use for regret, but there are regrets in life. They exist. You can have a regret. And in my case, it's a very useful regret. Whenever I am bound up and I have an opportunity to take a leap, to make a choice for going for it, and I feel the resistance, I go back to that story about what could have been had you made the decision to just go do it. I mean, no, everybody would have laughed. She would have been freed. Maybe she and Troy still get together, but you did it. The self-worth about expressing your affection for someone, that can translate into, hey, if you are grateful to another human being for something they've done, but you don't tell them that, you don't thank them, you don't acknowledge what they've done for you and how much it means to you, you're afraid to open up that way. Well, why? What are you holding back for? I mean, life is short. I do regret not doing it. And I can admit that freely. I don't think that's a flaw. I think that is a strength at this point. I regret not kissing Audra Henderson when I had a chance. I think I would have learned something from that at 8 years old. There were a lot more things I had to, that I resisted and I was afraid to do. Dances, school dances. Oh my goodness, I wouldn't do that either. And that happened for a long time, and I still suffer from that to some degree. But I do think about that quite regularly. You hear that phrase, you won't regret things you did as much as the things you didn't do. And I think I think I have regrets on both fronts, but I think the bigger ones are the things I didn't do. And so with whatever time I have left, I'm going to try and make sure I do those things and go for it and put myself out there as much as possible, even when it's difficult, embarrassing, or whatever, to keep doing it. And frankly, this podcast is part of that. So I'm looking at potentially getting involved with some acting classes, maybe some kind of comedy or stand-up, or not stand-up, but like improv group. I'm not sure, but there, it's all here in New York, so that's easy enough. But I'm now looking for other ways to continue to work on this issue, because it doesn't just go away. From 8 to 48 or 47, 40 years later almost, still thinking about it and learning from it. So regrets can have a positive impact. They can have a purpose if we put it in the right context. All right, we've gone a little bit over today. I hope it was worth it for you, though. What regret can you build off of today to go for it in some way? Think about that. Visit us at mattstone.co online, at Twitter at mattstoneco, Instagram at mattstoneco. And in the meantime, remember, just go for it. You won't regret it. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.